Hi everyone, welcome to BIM Parametrics. I'm Mohammed Shahrukh and welcome back to the third session of this series which we call the Netflix of BIM. So in the previous session we looked at the ISO 9650 framework from a theoretical perspective, that is its stages, roles and key ISO 9650 documents. Now in this session we will take things a step further and make them more practical. We will see how those roles, terms, and documents actually come together and work within a real BIM project workflow. So let's imagine a simple scenario. A client decides they want to build a new 6-story commercial building. Now, in ISO 19650 terms, this client is called the appointing party. They know they want this building to be designed and constructed. But before any architect or engineer starts to work, the client first needs to be clear about their information requirements. In ISO 9650, this is the very first step. The client sets out what information they need at the business level, at the asset level, and for this specific project. This requirement forms the foundation of the entire BIM workflow, and this is also where a few important documents starts to take shape, which starts the stage one in the ISO 9650 workflow, that is the assessment stage. The very first document the client starts with is the OIR, or Organizational Information Requirement. This document captures the business level needs of the organization. It's like the big picture question that the organization wants answered. For our scenario, the client's OIR might include questions like how much will this building cost us to run every year? Can this design help us save energy or reduce our electricity bills, such as reducing energy use by 20%? Will the new office layout improve employee comfort and productivity? So once the client's big picture goals are clear through the OIR, the next step is to define what specific information will actually be needed about the building itself, not during the design but after it's built and in use. This brings us to our next document, the AIR, or Asset Information Requirement. The AIR focuses on the details the organization needs to operate, maintain, and manage the building efficiently. For example, it includes information like equipment data, maintenance schedule, warranty details, basically everything that helps the facility team run the building smoothly after handover. So after defining what the organization needs through the organizational information requirement and what asset data is required through the asset information requirement, the next step is the PIR, or the project information requirements. The project information requirements outlines exactly what information needs to be produced during the project to meet those higher level goals. It tells the designers, engineers, and contractors what to deliver and when, ensuring everyone provides the right data at each stage. For example, it specifies which drawings, models, and data must be shared, what level of detail the BIM model should have for coordination, and when updates should be submitted to the client or uploaded to the common data environment. Now that the organization has defined its need through the organization information requirement, the asset information requirement, and the project information requirement, the next step is to bring all of this together into one practical document called the EIR, or the Exchange Information Requirement. The EIR is essentially the client's detailed brief to the project team. It translates all those high level needs into clear instructions for delivery. For example, the EIR can specify what information must be delivered, such as BIM model, drawings, schedules, cost data, or energy performance reports, in what format it must be delivered, like Revit files, IFC model, COBie spreadsheets, PDF, and also information like the level of detail or development required at each stage. It can also include the timeline when each information packet must be delivered, linked to project milestones, and as well as quality and verification requirements such as model checks, clash detection, and approval workflow. So the exchange information requirement is the foundation for everything that follows. It ensures that the project team knows exactly what to deliver, how to deliver it, and when it must be delivered. Now the workflow moves into the stage 2, tendering. So after preparing the exchange information requirement, the client or appointing party float it as a part of tender. This means the EIR is sent out to the market so that the companies can bid for the project. Now that the tender has been released, we move into stage 3, response. At this stage, the companies who are interested in the project respond to the tender by submitting a pre-BEP or pre-appointment BIM execution plan to the appointed party. Now, what is a pre-BEP? It is essentially the bidder's proposal for information management. It shows how they plan to meet the client's EIR, that is the exchange information requirement, including their suggested workflow, naming convention, use of the common data environment or CDE, software platforms, team structures, and quality control approach. Once the tender response have been reviewed and evaluated, stage 4 of workflow, that is the appointment stage, starts. Here, the appointing party officially appoints the winning bidder as the lead appointed party. Now, the lead appointed party then, in close coordination with their appointed parties, develop the post-appointment BEP. This BEP is the finalized BIM execution plan that clearly defines how information will be managed and delivered through the project. The BEP includes key details such as the project information management process and workflow, the roles and responsibility of each team, modeling, file naming, and data exchange standards, software platforms, and the common data environment setup, coordination, review, quality assurance procedure, and most importantly, the BP also contains two of the most a critical document under ISO 1950, that is the TIDP and the MIDP. Now let's see what is this new documents TIDP and MIDP is. The TIDP or Task Information Delivery Plan is the plan created by each discipline team showing exactly what they will deliver, who will deliver it, and when. The lead appointed party then prepares a consolidated Master Information Delivery Plan or MIDP or MIDIP, combining all the disciplines level plans into one unified schedule that show how every piece of information aligns with the project milestone. Stage 5 of the mobilization stage marks the final preparation before the actual modeling and the information production begins. At this stage, the lead appointed party ensures that the common data environment is in place, workflows are tested, and everyone knows their roles and responsibilities. Each appointed parties also confirms their deliverables and test how their models and documents will be shared and reviewed. So in short, mobilization is the bridge between the planning and doing. By the end of this stage, the entire project team is organized, aligned, and ready to start producing coordinated BIM information with confidence. So with this, we will end today's session here. In our fourth session, we will move into the stage 6, the production stage, where the actual BIM modeling and information production begins. So until then, I hope you have a great week ahead. If you found this session useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the next episode. See you in the next session, and thank you for watching.